Honourable Hikia Parata.
Mr Speaker, yesterday I had the delight and pride in publishing these infographics on the education profile of New Zealand. But what question do we get today from the opposition? A pathetic question on the integration of Wanganui Collegiate, which happened over 8 months ago, and that's all that opposition can talk about. What this infographic shows is in one sheet the distinction between the opposition and this government and the three contenders for the leadership out there. First of all, we're aspirational. We want 5 out of 5 kids to be successful, yet in the entire 9 years of that administration, they were happy to wring their hands over 1 out of 5 kids being failed by our system, and yet going out and telling their traditional roots how committed they were to them. 9 years they made not a dint of effort or difference to those people. This government, in the 5 years we've been in, we have tackled the hard questions. We're aspirational. Another distinction, we are accountable. We are accountable. We are prepared to say what we're going to do, which is that 85% of 18-year-olds should have the minimum qualification so that they can participate in the labour market, so that they can earn the incomes they want for their own homes, so that they are independent of government. All completely opposite to what the opposition wants. They want unhappy, undereducated, aggrieved, dependent people, because that's who they rely on in order for them to suck votes out of people who deserve better, and we are giving them better. We are transparent. We report on what we are trying to do. We identify the challenges still ahead of us, and they are significant, because while on average 4 out of 5 kids are being successful, and that's great, and we want them to do better, that masks another picture where there are too many young people who are still failing, and too many of those are Māori, Pacifica, have special education needs, come from poorer homes, and this government is dedicated to delivering to all of them. We are detailed. We know how many boys, how many girls, what ethnicity, in what part of the country, because the more precise we can be, the more targeted and responsible we can be with taxpayers' money, because we are not lolly-scramble government, unlike the members on the opposition who are out and about across the country promising things that they have no costings for and indeed have no policy framework for, let alone a budget. We are committed to a world-class education system, and we know that one of the characteristics of that is a data-rich environment. We know that the ability to operate effectively with what the evidence tells us will be important for raising the educational status of every one of our New Zealand children. Mr Speaker, the 3 Labour leaders who are out there auditioning to become the next leader of the Labour Party, each of them got a great education, each and every one of them. Is there one promise they've made about education? Not at all. Have they mentioned it at all? Not once. No, they've talked about full employment. Yes. Full employment requires skilled, qualified young people. That's the big step that opposition hasn't fully understood. This side of the House has, and we are dedicated to it. They've committed to a Pacifica TV channel, but not to Pacifica education. We too are committed to the culture and the language and the identity of the wonderfully diverse Pacific community that is contributing to this country. But guess what? Their contribution to themselves, their own and their communities is going to be stronger on the back of a good education. That's what we're committed to long before we get a TV channel. What else have they promised to do? Well, they promised a 50% female quota for caucus, but they haven't looked at how well girls are doing in our education system. They promised not to block the man ban if the party wants it, but they haven't focused on what we need to do for boys in education, and for brown boys in particular, that our system has not yet proved able to deliver to. So yes, we've got Labour-like leaders out there talking and talking and talking based on excellent educations themselves, but not one word, not one commitment to education for New Zealanders. This government puts its money where its mouth is. We have put $9.7 billion into vote education this year. That's a 74% increase on early childhood education and a 30% increase on schooling. This opposition have talked about the closures of schools by this government. Well, let me put on record.
The member's time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, this country has a most serious situation on its hands.